I get it, you're scrolling through endless fish finder options, trying to picture yourself out on the water, and the last thing you want is to drop cash on a unit that ends up gathering dust because it just doesn't click with your boat or your fishing style. You've probably heard the hype about the latest sonar tech and wondered if that means you'll finally locate those stubborn bass on a lazy Saturday, or if you'll be left fiddling with a screen that never quite shows what you need. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's break this down together, looking at the real-world experience of using the Lowrance Elite FS12 as a display-only fish finder and see whether it truly earns a spot on your dash. First off, the Elite FS12 is a 12-inch display that lives in the display-only niche. That means you'll need a separate sonar module like a Lowrance EchoChur or an add-in transducer to actually send the sound waves out into the water. The unit itself is essentially a window into whatever sonar data you feed it, and that design choice has a few practical consequences. If you already own a compatible sonar head, you can slot the FS12 in and instantly upgrade the visual experience without rewiring the whole system. If you're starting from scratch, you'll have to budget for the extra hardware, which can push the total spend past the $300 $400 range you might have expected for a standalone finder. Who should consider this setup? If you're a mid-range angler who already has a Lowrance or compatible sonar unit, or you're building a custom electronics suite on a modest boat, the FS12 makes a lot of sense. Its 12-inch screen is big enough to read depth contours, fish arches, and live sonar updates without squinting, yet it doesn't dominate the helm like some of the larger 15-inch models that can feel bulky on smaller cockpits. The unit also integrates smoothly with Lowrance's connected boat control ecosystem, so you can push map updates or change sonar settings from a handheld device while you're still on the water. That remote tweaking is a genuine time saver when you're tracking a school that's moving fast and you need to adjust the depth or zoom on the fly. On the flip side, if you're a newcomer who doesn't already own a sonar head, the Elite FS12 could feel like a half-finished puzzle. You'll need to research which transducer pairs best with your boat size and typical fishing depths. Some users have reported that the initial pairing process can be a bit fiddly, especially when you're trying to sync a third-party sonar module that isn't Lowrance branded. In those cases, you might end up spending extra time in the garage or on a dockside laptop rather than out on the water, which defeats the purpose of a plug-and-play fish finder. Now let's talk about the everyday usability. The interface is built around Lowrance's Live Sonar compatible software, meaning the screen can render real-time, high-definition sonar imagery if your upstream sonar supports it. In practice, that translates to seeing a live, moving picture of fish activity and bottom structure rather than a static echo. I've watched anglers use it on a calm lake in the early morning, and the way the fish arches pop up on the screen feels almost like having a sonar camera mounted to the boat's nose. The display is bright enough to be legible in full sunlight, but it does have a modest glare under the harsh midday sun, which can be mitigated by angling the screen or using a simple anti-glare film. The menu navigation feels intuitive. A few taps bring you to depth contours, a swipe changes the sonar mode, and you can lock onto a specific spot with a long press, which is handy when you're trying to keep a favorite feeding hole in view while you drift. One of the hidden trade-offs is the lack of built-in GPS or chart plotting. The FS12 is purely a visual conduit. It shows you what the sonar says, but it doesn't store waypoints or provide navigational cues on its own. That's fine if you already have a separate chart plotter or a smartphone app handling navigation, but for someone who wants an all-in-one solution, you'll need to pair the FS12 with another device. This can actually be a benefit for those who prefer to keep navigation and fish finding separate, less chance of software bugs crashing both functions simultaneously. Practical strengths that stand out after a few days on the water include the speed of data refresh when paired with a Lowrance HD Live sonar head. The screen updates almost instantaneously, so you can spot a school of bass moving through a weed line and adjust your lure depth within seconds. The Find Better Spots Faster tagline isn't just marketing fluff. The live feed lets you see subtle changes in the water column that static echoes would miss. Also, The unit's ability to be mounted on a variety of dash configurations thanks to the flexible bracket system means you can place it where it's most ergonomic for your line of sight, whether that's directly